morning, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast. We got Philly back in the house, so obviously we got to talk about that Monday night disaster.
God, please, can we talk about it? Please, for the love of God.
What was that 8 turnover just ugliness that really could have been 12 if all of them were lost?
Did you see that even the Nickelodeon Monsters, Inc. play blew up on that one play? They didn't know what to do because there was so many turnovers on the one play alone. The whole thing just blew up. It was just like, what happens now? I didn't even get to see it because you can't find it anywhere. But it was funny that it was like, hey, here's a interception. Oh, there's a fumble. There's a fumble.
hey, Pags, I told him it was like that damn. Remember the replacements when John Madden's calling it, and he goes, the one guy who started the play is the same guy who finished the play. It's almost
right, exactly.
That whole play felt like that,
Nope. No, and of course, crazy. The record set, right? Because no time in NFL history has somebody thrown a pick and fumbled on the same play. So shout out to Jalen Hurts for setting a record. Good job. But yeah, no, it was, and of course it only happened one time because there's so much that has to happen for that to happen.
Yes. And, hey, you know what? The whole game was who wants to lose more.
Oh yeah,
and we did. We wanted to lose more. There's so much blame to go around here.
Forcing that last throw made no sense. You had tons of time. He could have easily ran for the first down right there. Like
he didn't. It was first down.
Well, no, but I mean, there was so much room in front of him. He could have just ran.
Yeah.
And instead, he launches that thing into double coverage, super tight window. Like, it just didn't make any sense. You still had 3 minutes to go.
And that's why I'm starting to wonder if maybe his decision-making is just not all there where it needs to be.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Because, look, last year you guys got the Super Bowl. No doubt about it, man. You won it. But I'm wondering, and I'm wondering, is because look, Dak Prescott's never gotten a Super Bowl. Let's be honest, okay? But he takes a lot of shit. Dak takes a lot of shit, and I'm wondering, is it time to start giving Jalen Hurts a little bit of that love too? Because after that performance and a couple of performances before that, he's had moments where he has not looked good at all.
Well, this year has been off for sure. Just as a team.
Yeah, I want to say that. If there was a sophomore slump, this is it. Yeah, we'll say, I mean, obviously he's improved. And now he is like regressed.
Yes.
A good amount. He doesn't want to run the ball. There's a lot of different things that have come as part of this. Like, that he's trying to become more of a pocket passer. And by trying to do that, it challenges, it challenges him to have to have different things better than than last year. Last year, they relied more on the run. This was the first game that they actually had the run, working for him. But you got an offensive coordinator who was the passing game coordinator. So he doesn't understand how to run the ball. And I feel like sometimes he chooses to run the ball and in such a way that it limits the run to force them to have to pass. And that makes me wonder, like, what happens moving forward? Obviously, they have to sit back and really start to consider certain things. Like, I don't know if somebody else, I don't know that you can have somebody else start calling plays. But I think that they have to start to push more of a running game in a different way. It's like, you threw the ball 40 times. 40 times. You're not going to win many games that way. This isn't This isn't the Chargers from back in the day. That's that team that could throw it like 50 times a game and win games.
Yes.
In the NFL, you don't win games that way. And especially now that the Eagles kind of set the standard last year, it's becoming a running league again.
Yeah.
Remember 3 years ago they were talking about, is the running back dead?
Yes.
Guess what? Now all of a sudden the running back is alive and kicking.
Yep.
And teams that are winning are running the football.
But what amazed me about that game was the one guy who I thought would have had, if anybody was going to have that amount of turnovers, didn't. I mean, I really thought Justin Herbert with the hand issue that might cause issues. Maybe he might fumble or whatever the case is. But he was the one guy that didn't turn the damn ball over and basically just facilitated the game and let the team do the work for him. And again, he had 2 runs. Well, I think 2 first down runs back to back. I mean, it just looked like completely different. I was expecting that out of Hurts, not out of Herbert, just given the Herbert's hand issue. But it wasn't the case.
Well, but there was plenty of fumbles to go around because it wasn't. I mean, everybody was fumbling. I understand that, it says there's 8 turnovers in that game, but there were 4 more fumbles that the offenses got back.
Yes.
Right.
And it's the thing that just made no sense to me at all is, had this been inclement weather, like it's raining or snowing or whatever, like I'm with it. Sometimes the ball can get slippery. You're playing at SoFi. You're in LA. Like the weather is great. And, it's a protected stadium anyway. So, like, none of it made sense for you to have ball security issues the way they were on Monday night.
Right.
Well, the defenses, these were 2 of the best defenses in the league.
Sure.
Going up against each other. So, in the midst of all that, first off, four interceptions, all by the same guy.
Yeah.
That was a little ridiculous. Again, I would say one of those interceptions really falls on the ball going through the guy's hands. The other one, I would say that I would give a little bit of a pass to A.J. Brown on that one because it went through his hands. However, it wasn't supposed to go to him. And that's a play calling problem.
Yeah.
That's when you have A.J. Brown tries to jump up to get the ball, and it's supposed to go past him because it was supposed to go to Devonta Smith. And you can't have 2 guys on routes in the same place. You can't do that.
Yeah, I always hate it when you see somehow the routes end up in the same spot because you're just like, you're crowding your own playmaking ability.
Right.
Yeah. I will tell you, Rob, there is no chance that the Raiders have. The Raiders have already scheduled tee times. You know what I mean? They're not playing at all. And having Pickett, have you seen Pickett play?
Right.
I'm not concerned about this week. I don't think that they have any bit of a chance. It's not, it's like he might be a little bit up for that because he gets to play the play, in the place where, the last time he snapped the ball was to kneel down for the Super Bowl win.
Exactly. You got a ring last time he took a snap.
So let me ask you this, Pags. So you guys have clearly been on a 3-game slump right now against good teams. All right, no bad teams, right? Dallas is probably the least of the other teams, right? Dallas, Chicago, and Chargers. Now you got the Vegas, Washington, Buffalo, Washington. I think you can cancel out both the Washington games. Really, Buffalo is probably the only really tough team or above 500 team you have left. I don't expect you guys to lose anymore. I think you're going to win out the rest of those games. How do you see you guys as though going into the playoffs with these issues? Obviously, Dickerson's now down due to injury. I don't know how long he's going to be down for, but I saw him go down. And then obviously Johnson still hasn't gotten back. What are your concerns going into the postseason when it approaches?
So you got to start to right the ship. Obviously, playing who you're playing helps resolve some issues. It's like the one thing I will say, Rich Eisen was saying, hey, everybody should still relax, and there's some truth to that. There was some things that the Eagles did move the ball against the Chargers, which is a really good defense. And they started to do things. The fact that they had 4 interceptions made me say, okay, it's now, he's trying to do different things. He's trying to figure out different reads. He's trying to make certain things happen. 2 of those interceptions going through people's hands kind of, we'll say, is not his fault. The last one absolutely is his fault. Is it time to jump off the bridge? No. We're not going to get the number 1 seed, so don't expect to buy. And I think that defense can win a lot of games, and I was having one of the best defenses in the league is going to be helpful because all the teams that are ahead of us, we have beat. We've beaten the Rams. We've beaten, Green Bay. We've beaten Tampa Bay. Chicago beat us. They beat us up, and they came in a lot more prepared. And then what did they do? They blew it against Green Bay.
Yeah.
So every little bit of you could say that Green Bay was almost a trap game because they were so up on beating the defending champions during a time when they're down. And I'm not going to use this as an excuse, but I do believe that there is something to be said for all the cameras being around with using the NFC East as the hard knocks thing.
They were doing that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, it was I don't know if they showed me during the game, but I was literally sitting right behind the cameras. And in the first quarter, I'm watching this one camera, and all I'm watching him do is follow Nick Sirianni. And I'm like, is this the Chargers trying to, like, I literally was going to text Dom and be like, yo, Dom, there's a camera on Nick Sirianni the entire time. I think the Chargers are stealing some of the plays. Like, that's what I kind of thought was happening. Then I started to think about it a little bit more and then realized that it was Hard Knocks. And then at halftime, I asked him about it, and they said, yes, they were filming for Hard Knocks. So there is something to be said for that does create somewhat of a distraction. And I know that some of this stuff is going to end pretty quickly. You know what I mean? It's going to end soon. I think they showed me on Hard Knocks. Somebody said look at you. You're on Hard Knocks. I was like, well, funny. That being said, though, it's created some of the drama.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit of a distraction.
Sure.
And is it right to call that, use that as an excuse? No. These guys are professionals, and all of these different things. Who else is getting it? The Giants, Washington. But I'd be willing to bet that Washington is a lot less prepared for this. You look at everybody during this time, and there's been a lot of losses since they started filming. And the NFL's got to look at that. Like, hey, yeah, we're filming these guys, and next thing you know, Dallas is losing games. Giants and Washington are losing games. It's like and the Eagles are losing games. Everybody's losing. It doesn't. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Like when I was looking, when they put up a graphic in that Monday night game, and I thought it was interesting. I don't remember all the categories, but there was like they showed the Eagles offense last year versus this year, where you guys were ranked, and 5 of those categories, you guys were in the top 5. But then they showed the same categories this year, and now you're like 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 20th. And I'm wondering with the Eagles, that tells me, I'm wondering if this is more of, Kellen Moore was there last year. Now you got the new guy. Is this new guy going to take some of the fall for the struggles of the offense? That's called, I think Pachuca is his name, or
Kevin Petrullo.
Petrullo. So, yes, there you go.
Yeah, Kevin Petrullo, and he's getting a lot of the blame. I will say that it was a lot less of him. Now, I was listening to the guys last night. They do the show at the bar, two ex-pros that I said, and I brought up a couple of valid points. I'm like, one, when the Eagles went up the middle on Herbert, they were able to make disruptions, get sacks. He didn't have anywhere to go. When they went around the edges and they funneled him in, when he stepped up in the pocket and there was nobody there, he took off. He got most of his yardage running the ball up the middle when there was no pressure there. And that is a problem. It's like, why wasn't he seeing that? He saw every time that the running back was on a linebacker to linebacker one. Every time. Why not do it more? Why not do it more?
Yeah.
All right, I get it. They do have some good receivers over there. Herbert is a good quarterback. You know what I mean? So you don't want to get caught with your pants down. But every time you did it, it worked. So why? I don't understand. I don't get it. It worked every time. Why not keep doing it? But that's why they don't pay me the big bucks. When it comes to the offense, when it comes to the plays, I thought that they called a better game. I thought that the play calling was better for this game. And that gives me that glimmer of hope. Now you're going up against worse defenses, so it doesn't really say as much, but I want them to score points. I want them to get used to getting back into the end zone because we're not used to that right now. Yeah. We're not scoring enough points. Yeah. I want us to have a lot of touchdown celebrations. That's what I would like. I would like to see that. I want to see them all do a little dance. I want to see them, spike some footballs. I want them to do all of that stuff right now. And doing it against bad teams is not important to me because I want to do it against the bad teams because we are the Super Bowl champions still. And until we're out, we're still defending that.
Of course.
And I feel like sometimes they have to look up in the rafters to see where they were to remember how to get back there again. And like I said, in 2 more weeks, these cameras go away and no more Hard Knocks.
Yep.
And at that point, I think some of the stuff that they are getting in the middle of, and I think that there is some drama that winds up happening because of that, and so on and so forth. I think that there's a lot of different things. We're all human. We all want to act for the camera a little bit.
Hold on, let me say this.
To be fair, though, the offense hasn't looked good before those cameras arrived.
Correct. But I looked at that as more as the play calling. If they are evolving the play calling now, if things are getting better in that regards, then the players not doing it. The players were horrible. This was more of an execution, not organization problem. That's what I saw this week. And and that gives me hope because I know these players are better. These guys are and how many times is A.J. Brown going to drop 3 or 4 balls in a game? He better not do it much more. You know what I mean? You don't go crying that you're not getting the ball enough, and then you're getting the ball, and you're getting hands on 2 touchdowns he dropped. 2.
The one was a great defensive play.
What? Which one? The second one?
Yeah, where he ripped his arm
one
out.
that went high, and he missed the one that went high.
No. But the one that was over the shoulder, the defender ripped his arm down. That was actually a great defensive play. He was getting killed on the broadcast, but that was a fantastic play by the defender because soon as it hit his hands, he hooked his arm and ripped it down.
Okay, so and that happened pretty quickly. So you couldn't see it, and that happened on the other side of the field. So I didn't get a chance to see that like that.
It was a great play, and the thing is had he hooked him before, Brown might have had a shot because he would have had his hand like this to try and one-hand it. But because he was trying to catch it two-handed, and then this one got ripped out, you're not catching that ball.
Right.
So,
but the first play of the game was a touchdown.
For sure.
That absolutely was a touchdown. And then there was another one where Brown short armed it. He had the alligator arms or the T-Rex arms.
I'm gonna get hit. Yeah.
Hey, that's what I said to One Ass Cheeks. He's talking about the Eagles' defense being one of the best. He says it's a stretch. I gotta tell you, man, I agree with you. The thing what bothered me the most is you guys gave up 66 yards, 6.6 yards, I think, on average to Justin Herbert. You let a one-handed quarterback put 66 yards. Like I said, twice. Hold on. No. You're not letting him out of this. Twice that man ran for 2 first downs back to back.
Did I just explain to you? Did I just explain to you what just happened? What I said about that? You heard me say. You heard me talk about that, right?
But I listen to a lot of excuses come out of the damn Eagles organization.
It's not a lot of excuses. I didn't give an excuse. I actually held the defensive coordinator accountable for that. How is it that you're going to not rush up the middle when he's most vulnerable up the middle? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I'm not giving any excuses for that. And that was the problem. They were coming around the edges. When he stepped up, he had wide open space. Of course he's going to go run.
Yeah.
The one play that they called was actually a very well constructed play. That when he ran on that second play for the back-to-back first downs, because I was looking in the opposite direction. There was a good fake. And everybody was faked out because even the television thought it was that way.
The camera followed it, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a really good fake on their part. It was a really well-constructed play, and it worked. So, which is what's supposed to happen in the NFL.
The other element of this is, yes, he had a broken hand. It was not a broken throwing hand. So
don't put that in there. I understand it's not his throwing hand.
He had 4 fumbles in the game. He lost 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. There's a lot that to be said for this. He played a really good game. It wasn't his greatest game. No. Has he ever played with a hurt hand? No. You know what I mean? But he was able to make some plays. It's okay. Listen, I was unsure whether he was going to play or not.
Yeah.
And if he didn't play, they lose that game.
Oh, for sure they lose it.
Oh, of course.
For sure.
Of course. And you could tell it was not pleasant being out there, right? Like he looked hurt all game. And even in the post game, he was just trying to get out of there.
There were 2 or 3 times when his own hand hit his other hand and you could see him grimace.
When he would try to get up, he was using his hand to lift himself up. And you could tell just by the look on his face then. How bad it was. It was tough all the way around.
You could tell that it was hurting, especially after the first quarter. You could tell that hand was not right because he started handing the ball off with the wrong hand going to his right.
Oh yeah.
Which is a really surefire way to fumble the ball. So, because usually what you want to do is the outside hand helps set it in there. He started doing it with his inside hand so that he didn't have that hurt hand getting hit by his running back.
Yeah.
If that's not a good exchange, that's a fumble every time. So you know that is that his hand was hurting to do that.
Yeah, it was a good win for the Chargers. I mean, given all the circumstances, it was a good win for them.
Yeah, I was talking to some educated fans, and I happened to be sitting next to 2 Chargers fans who were from Philly, which I thought was a little odd, but they were educated, and they're saying that there's no reason why the Chargers should even be 9-4. And that goes to tell me that has to do with coaching. Mm-hmm. That, I always, I'm not a Harbaugh fan. I am not. I think that he's an ass, actually. That being said, he must be doing some things right, or he has the right people around him, because that offensive line is as weak as it comes. And the only offensive line that looked weaker was ours. Yeah. They were getting a lot of pressure. Both sides got a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
I'm with you though. Like, I think Harbaugh is annoying, but all that dude does is win.
That's true.
Everywhere he goes, he is successful. So even though I think personality wise, it's just not my guy, the results are there.
I'm about to say, if he's putting W's, look, this isn't a personality contest. Just give me the damn W and let's keep rolling.
Yeah, well, and he does that.
Damn.
He absolutely does that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. His other brother is not having as much fun right now over in Baltimore, which I'm wondering what's going to change over in Baltimore. I mean, for them to be successful again. I mean, that formula of great defense, good run game, not so much relying on the pass game. I wonder if that's effective anymore. And they don't. You're right.
Their defense has been terrible.
Right. Yeah, they definitely got
some
work to
do. I wish you understood football a little bit better because I've been watching your comments all game long or all day long here. And I haven't wanted to say anything because I don't want to seem like that I'm being a miserable, but some of the things that you're saying, Joe, are just straight out wrong. They are just straight out wrong. Like this isn't a Super Bowl hangover. This is a offensive coordinator who's trying to figure out how to learn how to be an offensive coordinator. And that's a different type of problem. It's not a hangover. Some of these guys are actually playing really well. The defense held a really good offense to really 19 points. And it should have been less than that because if it wasn't for the turnovers, they would have had another 6 points off the board because they were really holding this team really well. Mm-hmm. So I suspect that the defense is what wins championships. So to go ahead and say that we're not going to go back to back and things like that, I mean, you can make that argument and I can understand where that argument comes from. That being said, I suspect that within the next 4 weeks, I'm not going to take any stock from the Vegas game unless we lose. Yes. We lose that game. If we lose, it's a different story. But if we beat Washington twice and we beat Vegas, that Buffalo game in the cold, that is going to be our preparation to go to Green Bay in the cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to be about. And that's what they got to take these games as. There are some really, the challenges are against themselves now. You're not competing against the Raiders. You're not competing against Washington.
Your schedule's very easy moving forward.
But Buffalo is going to be a tough one. In the cold, we're going to be freezing our nutsacks off. You know what I mean?
Freezing your nutsacks off in Philly? I mean, I know Philly gets cold.
It gets cold, but not Buffalo cold.
Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe not Buffalo.
That's a different animal. Plus, it's going to be snowing in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's be real. It's going to be cold. There's going to be wind. It's going to snow.
Well, and that's true because New York is a cold state because the Army specifically sends people to New York, upstate New York, Fort Drum for cold weather training. Not even Alaska or anywhere. They go to Fort Drum. So I agree with that. That lake effect is going to kick in the balls. Yeah.
So, and I look at that as that's going to be your preparation. Now we have to prepare for what's coming in the playoffs. And I feel that our defense is able to compete against any one of these offenses. And when it came down to it, if you look at last year's playoffs, in the Green Bay game, our defense really held up. In LA, it was our defense really that won the game. The Super Bowl was a different story. Our offense was overpowering and our defense was overpowering. That there was nobody who was going to go into that game and beat us at all.
Joe, usually the hangover is for the team that loses. Typically why your Super Bowl winners aren't generally as strong is everybody is circling that one on the schedule. They're getting up for you. So usually you're still playing pretty decent, but everybody's giving you their best shot. When you have the loser of the Super Bowl, they're the ones that usually have the hangover. You can see that they're not playing quite the same. So outcomes can be similar, but usually it's the loser that has the hangover. The winner generally just has tougher competition coming at them.
And if you look at our losses, at all of our losses, minus the Chicago game, every game was a one-score game.
Yeah.
Like it could have gone another way had something happened. Chicago was a different story. And even though it was like that was like really a two-score game, 9 points. Should have only been 8, but that's beside the point. You know what I mean? I feel like that they should have kicked the extra point at one point and at least kept our minds in the game. I think that once you miss that extra 2-point conversion, you almost take yourself out of the game. You can't really play it anymore. That being said, every other game, losing to Dallas, losing, these other games have been one-score games where we could have done something differently at any point in the game to make it work. Hell, if he makes the field goal at halftime, that we may not even be having the argument. You know what I mean? That we would have won the game. But I think it would have probably, everything changes once the score starts to change. But it's, he misses it. He missed the field goal. Dicker didn't miss field goals.
Yeah.
And those are real things. So it's, like I said, there was enough blame to go around all the way around, including on the defense when I felt like our defensive coordinator could have done better on some of his play calls when he saw that it was working so well as he was going up the middle, and he went away from it. And the moment he went away from it, Herbert started to run in the middle of the field.
So let me ask you, what is the time frame on Lane coming back to your offensive line, and how long do you think Dickerson is going to be out? Dickerson's going to be out.
I didn't hear more about it. I heard it was a meniscus tear, and Dickerson could be. They were going to do some minor procedure where it could be like, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I guess. I can't answer that. Lane Johnson's supposed to come back next week. He'll be playing in a lot of pain.
Right.
They're going to be giving him different shoes so that it supports the Liz Frank. Except the problem is when you're doing that, you play a little bit like Frankenstein because you don't have the movement of your foot.
Yeah.
And my expectation on that is because it's his off foot, it's not the one that he's planting. It'll have him at 80%, and 80% Lane Johnson is better than everything else we've got going.
And of course, if you're watching right now, you can bet on whether or not they are done in the first round. Using the QR code on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee, and bet alongside us right here on Coast to Coast. And of course, if you are here in the Pacific Northwest, you can also use this QR code right here, even though it's a little slow coming up. There we go. Free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations: Bellevue, Ballard, University Village. And of course, if you caught True Fusion on Evening Magazine last night, you got to watch my wife do a class on TV. So use the QR code right here. Find your edge. True Fusion Gym. There we go.
Real quick, when it comes to the Cowboys, I don't think we have a shot really at getting in the playoffs right now. Because I don't expect the Eagles. I don't expect the Eagles to lose 2 games. I think right now we're a game and a half back of you guys.
No,
and
you
I
guys
don't.
are
Yeah, and I don't think we can make it to the wild card round either.
You need a lot of people to lose to be able to make that happen.
You need a ton of help. You also don't have the easiest schedule moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't worry about anybody else. You got to worry about yourself first and foremost. And I think that's your hardest thing to do right now. So you got the Vikings, which should be a win for you guys. I mean, I think the Vikings are just about done. You then have the Chargers, which, you're going out there, which isn't such a big deal for you guys, I guess. Or no, they're actually coming to you guys. So you have the Chargers at home. And then you got the Commanders and Giants. So, I mean, realistically, the Chargers game is going to be the big one.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
It's like you get the Commanders after we beat them up a little bit, because the Commanders have Eagles,
Ertz is
Dallas
done.
Eagles.
Yeah, Ertz is done. Jalen's done. It's rough over there in the world.
Of Washington doesn't win another game.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. I think that the Eagles, like I said, as long as they play the games, they cannot sleep on Washington. They cannot sleep on Vegas. Losing one game against Buffalo is not going to be enough. You know what I mean? Because we're already 50-50 on that. You guys would probably get the edge because they said Washington stinks. And unless you guys lose to the Giants or to Washington, you guys are going to have the best division record. But that tie hurts you.
It does. It really, honestly, it really does hurt us. That's why we're a game and a half and not just because if that wasn't a tie, then we'd only be a game probably behind you guys, I believe. And then if that's the case, then if we won out,
even if you guys lost to the Packers,
yeah,
it would be 2 games. So it's like to call it a game and a half. It's not really true. You're still 2 games behind because unless the Eagles tie.
Yeah.
Like if the Eagles tied against the Chargers, then maybe it would be something like that because that half a game comes into play because you guys have it in conference.
Right.
We have it out of conference. So that might come into play like that. But because I think if you go by even the points, we beat you by 4, where you beat us by 3. So it's like all of that comes into play. And I know Carolina is ahead of the Cowboys.
Yeah. No, the Cowboys, the odds are not great. You're not mathematically out, but they're not great.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you got the Panthers, you got the Lions. The Seahawks being 10-3. That's an interesting. You guys got the Colts that are reeling right now. I think that they go down.
Oh, yeah.
Rams, Panthers, 49ers, 2 away games back-to-back to end the season.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Rams at home.
Yeah.
What do you think your odds are?
Of winning the division?
Of winning the division. I mean, you guys are playing some spirited ball, I'll say. I won't say great football. I'll say spirited football.
The thing that's interesting about the Seahawks is the offense has been wildly inconsistent. Special teams play has been best in the league. And overall, we have the second best defense in the league. So if we can get our offense to actually do something consistently, they're a very scary team. The problem is they do weird stuff on offense. So like against Atlanta, right? We go into halftime tied at 6. And then in the second half, the offense finally wakes up. Defense obviously created turnovers and stuff. And then you beat the brakes off them. But if you went into it at halftime, you're like, what are we doing on offense? Terrible.
Yeah.
So if they can figure out how to get consistent play out of the offense, the defense has been elite. Special teams play best in the league. So it's just whether or not they can really get that dialed in. As far as making the playoffs, they're making the playoffs. Right?
Oh yeah, they're definitely making the playoffs.
Like they already hit the win total that I thought they were going to have this season. So, because I thought they were going to be a 10-win team.
Right.
So that's where we currently sit. Even if they go 2-2, you're a lock for the playoffs.
There's a chance that a 12-win team doesn't make it.
Yeah.
So I can't say that they're a lock yet.
So funny thing about that is Seattle had been the odd man out being a 12-win team back in the 80s. So back when they were still in the AFC West, I remember that as a kid, they were a 12-win team, missed the playoffs.
That's crazy when you're a 12-win team missing the playoffs. That's nuts.
Yeah. So, but no, that being said, they probably, I could see them being a 12-win team. Really, week 18 really is who knows what that looks like. That game against the Rams will really tell you whether or not game 18 matters.
And that's what I feel like, because I feel like with the struggles the Eagles are going through right now, that really, I think you guys and the Rams are the two best teams in the NFC. Hell, maybe even the league, to be honest with you, as a whole.
Yeah. So,
I
mean, we haven't done it on this show recently, but this is how I have my power rankings.
Yeah.
So
having the Patriots and the Broncos up that high still doesn't make much sense to me. Interestingly enough,
at this point, you're talking about the two leading teams in the league, record-wise. I understand that the Patriots haven't had a tough schedule. The tough teams they've still played well against. The Broncos have won 10 in a row. I mean, at some point, you have to take them seriously. So
I'd probably put the Broncos at 3 and the Patriots at 4 just because of the strength of schedule.
Yeah, the problem why I had the Broncos below them is because they don't play offense all game.
Well,
right? Yeah. Like they wait until the fourth quarter. They've had a couple of games where they put together a consistent game, but my biggest thing about them is they just don't play offense all day. And when you start playing in postseason play, that's going to catch up with you. The Niners are up that high because despite the fact that everybody is in a wheelchair, they keep winning games. The Packers and Bears, I mean, they keep gutting out wins. The Eagles continue to drop for me because the offense has just been terrible. I understand that you've won some games and whatever, but God, like if you were playing the way you are today in the playoffs, it's one and done.
I would almost switch it out. I could put the Chargers in the 8th spot, just because of the same situation as the 49ers, that they are decimated at doing that, and maybe move the Eagles down to 9 and the Bills at 10, and knock the Jaguars off. But the Jaguars are 9-4, like quietly 9-4.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's why they returned to my list, right? Because if you remember, they were down there in like week 3, and then they just said, see you later to playing football for a while. So that 10th spot, that easily could have been the Chargers. Like there's a few teams.
I'm going to say, what are even the Texans, given the way the Texas defense is playing and that offense is starting to kind of find its rhythm. I mean, I don't know they're on there now, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans and Jaguars flip spots at some point before the end of the season.
And that's the thing, right? Like anytime you're in that 9, 10, 11, 12 range, like those are very easy to kind of move around.
Oh, for sure.
Because the Texans, best defense in the league, right? And their offense is coming together. Obviously, the Chargers are a solid team despite the injuries. The Jaguars finally, kind of putting stuff together. The Bills, inconsistent. Eagles, again, offense just can't seem to get out of their own way. Hopefully they can get back on track playing some bad teams, get that, momentum back to them.
I hope not. I hope they burn in infamy.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a team that if you were looking at it today, I wouldn't be convinced they would beat anybody in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like both the Chiefs and the Ravens are going to be out on the outside looking in. I suspect that the Colts will keep going down.
The Colts are toast. I mean, they just signed Phillip Rivers, so I mean, that you can tell that's a desperation move. Plus, they have a tough schedule coming up.
Right, they got all their easy games out of the way.
Exactly, and they're in the 3rd spot in their own division. Like they're going nowhere. So. The Colts are toast.
Yeah, so it's funny the Patriots have the Bills, the Ravens, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So really, the Bills is going to be a tough game. But short of that, I don't. The Ravens stink out loud.
Oh yeah. But they do, out of those teams, they're the one with the best chance because their division is kind of terrible right now. So
Right.
they have a shot to still get in, whereas KC has a 12% chance at a wild card. So,
Right.
I mean, realistically, that's a wrap. The Colts.
Well, Denver's got a tough schedule. They got probably the toughest part of their schedule coming up. The Packers, the Jags, the Chiefs, and the Chargers.
Yeah,
now,
but no one can catch them in their division.
The Chargers can.
I thought they were.
They're 11-2 and 9-4.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. Chargers can. It's not likely, but they can.
Well, the Chargers out of all of the different, looking at their schedule, well, they have the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Texans, and then the Broncos. Not an easy schedule either.
No, that's not easy at all.
No, exactly.
And it's at Chiefs, at Cowboys, and 3 of 4 games away.
Yeah.
At Chiefs, out Cowboys, home against the Texans, and then at the Broncos.
That's a tough hill. That's a tough hill to climb, especially when you got a broke hand.
But I think the Broncos versus the Packers is going to tell a lot.
Yeah.
And then against the Jaguars. The Jaguars, even though they have they're also a 9-4 record, but they have the Jets, that's a win, the Broncos, a tough game, the Colts, and then the Titans.
Exactly.
So that's 3 out of 4. And again, they end the season at home against the Titans. They're at the Broncos. They're at the Colts.
Yeah, I think Denver gets that division.
Oh yeah. At this point,
KC ultimately is done. Like it was funny. You could see how defeated that team looked, and the game wasn't even over.
Yeah,
they look like mentally they're done. So
how much longer you give Travis Kelce before he hangs it up?
Well, his contract's up this year.
Yeah.
So I think there's a really good chance this is it.
I'm telling you, it's never a good idea when an athlete gets involved with a celebrity. I've never seen it work out well. Now, he did get the Super Bowl with Taylor, the first one, but you can see the Super Bowl, he's kind of gone down by the wayside, Travis has. And I don't know what it is about celebrities, but Kardashians have killed him. Anybody that's gotten involved with Romo, I mean, it just never works out,
Yeah, I don't think that's a play here, but I think he's just aged out in a way, like because he looks slow, and even like the first year he bulked up and he looked like the distraction was a key element of it. This year he slims back down. He did not regain any speed. Like he looks incredibly slow. I'd be surprised if he doesn't hang it up after this. Hang it up, go get married, do all that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, he's going to start making billions of dollars himself. He's tied into Six Flags. He owns a beer company. The moment that he gets out of football, he's set for the rest of his life. So.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, he was going to be anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That being said,
so on a similar note, we might as well talk about the coaches that are potentially getting fired. Obviously, we got a couple of them. And the ones at the bottom there are unlikely, right? But
no, I think Harbaugh gets fired.
There's a good chance. McDaniel, I think, is doing just enough to keep his job, but Gannon, Stefanski, Taylor, Morris, they all seem
Zach Taylor stays.
Do you think he stays?
I think the Bengals do not like to fire coaches.
Exactly. And that's probably why Harbaugh stays too, is the Ravens are overly loyal to guys.
Yeah, I think that the other day losing to Pittsburgh cost him his job. I think that's what did it. I think it's going to be a mutual thing. He won't be fired. He's just going to hang it up.
He's going to resign and call it good.
I think it'll be a mutual thing.
Well, and I think the Stefanski one is definitely
going to be gone, right?
Well, especially after this last week, this is his response.
What was supposed to happen on that last 2-point conversion?
Yeah, not going to get into all the specifics, Jeff, but obviously did not go as we thought it would.
Did you make that call or did Tommy?
Yeah, I make every call.
Yeah.
Like, he looks so defeated in just being a Brown. I think he's just waiting to get fired at this point. But for them to close the door off for that final play to tie the game up on a day that he actually had a great day.
I watched something today, this morning, that was like, wow. The reason why he is not a Shador Sanders fan.
Okay.
Back in the day, Tim McCarver was doing an interview and got like a whole bucket of water dumped on him by Deion Sanders. Tim McCarver is Stefanski's grandfather.
Okay.
And that this might be harbored hatred
All right.
for a long time.
That is the slow play, I guess. But
wow.
I found that out today. I was like, whoa, that's holding some grudge. But no, that makes sense. That actually makes sense now that I think about it. You know, and it's like he's like, you know, you think about this, and it's like, here's Stefanski, who's 10 years old at the time, and his grandfather's his hero because he's seen on television all the time. And then, you know, you have Deion Sanders, who is a little frustrated because he didn't like what Tim McCarver had to say about him, dump a whole bucket of ice water on him.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, and they got a couple of number ones, so they might draft a quarterback yet again.
Stefanski's probably calling Deion, hey, man, remember that shit back in the day? Yeah, I got you, boo-boo.
I mean, I doubt it's that overt, but gotta go where that didn't happen. But yeah, I definitely see where Stefanski probably is done, which I think he'll welcome at this point. Gannon, you have to think like they're set up to be a middling team, and they've wildly underperformed that. Yeah, maybe Taylor makes it. Morris maybe does too, but
Pete
shouldn't. Pete Carroll,
he's got
legitimately has a chance to not be around next year. I don't think it happens, but
I think he retires. I think that he realizes like this sucks, and this ain't getting better. This ain't going to get better. You know, and I think that's. I mean, I would have almost pulled the plug already. Like if I was him, I'd have been like, "Hey, listen, this is not what I signed up for, and you guys suck, and I'm gonna just walk away."
You know, so much of this has been on how bad Geno's played, which I have to admit, I did not expect this drop off that he's had, especially his attitude drop off. Also, right? Like he's been thankful for the opportunity and whatever, and he's been kind of a douche when it came to going to the Raiders. So that interesting. But with the amount of turnovers, like that cost them a couple of games. So it definitely hasn't all been on coaching, but the NFL is a production-based business, right? So there's no moral victories or like the game plan could have worked if Geno, like that's not ever how that works. So there is a real chance that Pete Carroll is a one and done with the Raiders. I don't think it happens. I think he gets one more year out of it. But McDaniel, I think, has done just enough to save his job.
I feel bad for Max Crosby though, because I mean that guy really gives a lot to that organization, and just has not had the fruits of the labors come back to him. You know.
I hope I do actually. Truth of the matter is that I do kind of hope that Mike McDaniel gets fired. Uh, Only because I would love to see him. I think that he would be a natural pickup for an offensive coordinator by the Eagles. They would give him a
Oh,
lot of
sure.
money.
Sure.
They'd give him a lot of money to be the offensive coordinator here. And I think that his personality is the right type of personality for Jalen Hurts. So I would love to see that occur. However, that would mean that in 8 seasons, he'll have 8 different offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I mean, I feel like that the last change, we all were unsure about Kellen Moore, but Kellen Moore wound up winning a Super Bowl. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And I think Mike McDaniel has the ability to do that. I think that he knows how to use his receivers the right way. I know he knows how to use the running game the proper way. And I think if you gave him all of these weapons as they remain, I actually suspect that we are going to wind up trading AJ Brown in the offseason.
I could see that.
I don't think that is going to go unnoticed. That the way this occurred and some of the stuff, some of the drama that came about is not on the Eagles playbook. And they are unhappy about this. You know what I mean? I think. And it's, listen, in the midst of everything else, Howie Roseman is a tactician.
Sure.
And all of this stuff is gone in his notes. And my expectation is that he is going to, make a move that will benefit them 100%. It's going to be a beneficial thing. I wouldn't be surprised if you could trade him to a good team and maybe get, 2 firsts or a first and a third
Hmm.
for him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't suspect that, I think we're gonna stay with Jalen Hurts. And you want to hear the other rumor that I've been hearing is that the reason why Jalen Hurts doesn't want to run is because he doesn't want to have the opportunity of getting hurt because Tanner McKee is a stud.
Okay.
And that's if we were to go to the backup quarterback, because everybody in Philadelphia loves a backup quarterback here. That's a
Yep.
big deal. So if they were to go to the backup quarterback for any reason, that Tanner McKee would ball out. And having him ball out would be a no bueno for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
How much longer does Tanner McKee have on his contract? Just out of
I think
curiosity.
he's still under rookie contract. So
you think
probably one more
do
year.
you think if his contract expires, and let's say Jalen doesn't get hurt, you got to imagine would other people try to poach him from the Eagles to make him their starter? Like, for example, maybe New Orleans, who needs a quarterback.
Yeah, New Orleans isn't going to trade what the Eagles would want. The Eagles would absolutely want a number 2.
Yep.
They know what they have with Tanner McKee. And every time he's come into play, he's played really well.
Right.
So, and I think when you're in the quarterback room, you also understand what assets he can bring. And I'm sure the coaches know this. But right now, Jalen is still the guy. Jalen is the reigning, Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
And that holds weight. It does. So you can't just, there has to be reason for you to get away from him just yet. And I don't think that we should get away from him just yet. I don't think that, like I said, I was encouraged, even throwing 4 picks, I was encouraged by some of his decisions in this game. He made some great plays in that game. I think he tried to push it a little too much, and that was part of the problem. But, we have time. There's still time this season.
Well, and like we pointed out, there's some easy games on the horizon to try and get right. So
I still think we can make it to the NFC Championship game. I just don't know what happens after that.
No,
I think our defense is strong enough to get us to the NFC Championship game, and then I think we may get exposed in that game, like we have exposed other teams, or that proverbial switch gets turned on.
Yeah,
but either could happen.
Oh, for sure. And before we get out of here, if you are here in the Seattle area, I do Toys for Tots every year, have for 20 plus years, and the partner that I do with my Thursday night show, Crucible Brewing, is going to be the drop location. So if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, bring a new unwrapped toy to that location. And if you happen to be there on the days that I'm there, so it'll be this Thursday, next Thursday, and of course this coming Saturday for the Husky game, you will get a free second beer when you bring your toy, courtesy of Crucible Brewing. So if you come during the days that I'm there, you order a beer, you get your second one free by just bringing in a new unwrapped toy for Toys for Tots. And if you're not a beer drinker or you just can't get there on the next 2 Thursdays, then you can drop it off anytime. The more you bring, obviously, the better, the more it helps. So,
and just bring him over to his house. Just go right over to his house and bring some toys. It's fine.
Yeah, just everywhere.
Address below.
Right. I think I'd end up with some weird stuff at my house. That being said, we do got to get out of here. We're a little bit over time. We appreciate everybody watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. Otherwise, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.
Eagles suck.